Hi and welcome back to Bikespeeds. This week Simon's actually been away for a few days over the weekend. We've lost about 5 days of filming. We are in the middle of doing a big restoration that is around about a 2-week film. So we didn't have a bike for you this week, so we thought we'd just do a Q&A. So we've got a list of questions here that you've asked us and we're going to run through those and give you our thoughts and answers. So the first question I've got is, how about a superhero origin story type vid? Bit of background on how you got into the industry, what sort of bread and butter work you do as a bike shop, favourite and least favourite jobs to do for customers, favourite type of bike to work on. Thanks for the great channel, hugely informative about good practice and technique. Well, thank you for that comment, I do appreciate that. We have actually been in this shop, you join us in the workshop today. We've been in this shop for 35 years. We've actually been a full bike shop for 10 years. Before that, we amalgamated with another industry, but we've gone full bike shop and we've now been doing the full bike shop for 10 years. So over a decade experience in the bike industry. And that's actually how we started. So the main focus of the shop is servicing. We don't sell used or new bikes, we just service bikes. So that's our sole purpose, is a workshop based business. Although we do have a shop front and we are in a shop, we sell accessories, etc. But we don't sell new bikes, we just focus on servicing. Favorite bikes are obviously the main content that we bring to the channel, which is road biking. In this area, road biking is the core of the business. There's not a lot of hills here, so there's very little mountain biking going on, so it's solely road biking. But actually my favourite type of bikes to work on are single speed bikes. I love the purity of a fixed gear or single speed bike. I do enjoy working on those, and there's always little design elements that really make those bikes stand out at times. So yeah, we do all sorts really. Roughly how long is the waiting list, if there is one, to get a bike into you for the full works, strip, cleaning, polishing, ceramic spraying and reassembly? Well, it's not a waiting list as such. You bring the bike in, we get it into the system. It really depends on the bike and the availability of components for that bike as to how long it takes. If it's a routine, modern new bike, we'll get that in the system. During the summer, I'll work late into the evenings, I'll come in early. In the winter, we just do our normal hours. But we really try to get those bikes out as quickly as possible, so there is no wait or delay for you. Obviously, we realise that people are training for their events and they want these bikes back, so we do our best to get bikes back very, very quickly. So you never want to worry about a time delay. If you bring a bike into us, it's going to get done quickly. I was wondering where you get the torque settings from. Well, the torque settings that we use, they are built up over years of experience and years of knowledge and years of mental knowledge and storage. So we never give out the torque wrench settings on the videos because it can vary slightly from component to component, bike to bike. We just know what settings those bikes have. So I would always recommend to you as a home mechanic to look up the component on the internet, get the correct torque settings, maybe write them down for your specific bike so that when you're servicing it, you know the settings that are set for your specific bike. So if you've got maybe more than one bike, write down a list for one bike, write down a list for the other, then you'll always know your torque range settings moving forwards. But that's the reason we don't give them out, is because they can vary slightly from component to component, and we don't want to give misinformation that's incorrect for you, for your bike. So just look it up the component and you should be okay. Recently brought a new gravel bike with Campy carbon gravel wheels. I've already got a couple of dings in the wheels, nothing major, which is just typical wear and tear, I guess. When does it become an issue, and should you put anything in the pit marks? Well, personally, I think that if you've got carbon wheels and you've got pit marks in them, there is an issue there that you need to address. You probably need to get those repaired. They can become very dangerous, they can collapse on you, break. Especially if you're riding gravel and trails and things, you want a robust wheel. That may be a time to get that wheel checked out professionally rather than just leaving it. What's the foam spray you use? I'm always surprised to get frames and wheels so clean with it, with so little, no water. Love the videos. Ever consider making how-to videos, i.e. how to index gears? Well, we use just a normal snow foam type spray in a bottle that we shake up and then spray onto the bikes to give that initial clean off of the bike. Then we use warm soapy water to wash the bike down and then we either wash that off or use a microfiber towel. You don't need too much water on a bike to clean it down. And then to the other point of your thing, do we ever make how-to videos? We've always called our channel an infotainment channel. So it's a little bit of information in an entertaining way. We never wanted to go down the how-to route. There's many channels on YouTube offering a how-to. We wanted to offer something different, and I don't see in the foreseeable future us ever becoming a how-to channel. Although we never say never, things moving on, things progressing, it may change in the future, but at the moment we're still an infotainment channel. We want to give you information in an entertaining way. How well do Tiagra cable operated disc calipers stack up against hydraulic ones for stopping power and ownership? Well, in my experience, cable operated disc brakes are hopeless. You're better off with a cable operated rim brake than a cable operated disc brake. In comparison with a hydraulic system, there is no comparison. Always go hydraulic if you can afford to, or if you can actually modify your bike to take hydraulics instead of the cable brakes. The cable brakes on a disc brake, they're just, yeah, they're hopeless. They're not the good ones. So get either a cable operated rim brake or a hydraulic disc brake. Avoid cable operated disc brakes. How often and with which method should tubeless tyre fluid be topped up or replaced? Well, most manufacturers recommend 6 to 7 months for a top up on the solution. However, I noticed that when it starts to get down, the tyre will deflate and go softer between rides, and that's a good time to top it up. And the way I always do that is I remove the core and then I inject the solution into the tyre for a top up, and then I replace the core, and that's enough for your day to day to keep everything moving. I would say once a year you need to clean out that solution and completely replace it, and then obviously that involves removing the tyre from the wheel. But for your standard top ups, 6 to 7 months, or when the tyre is deflating, and top it up through the valve hole. Just remove that core, square it in and replace the core with a new one, which is what we do when we're servicing a bike in the shop. I always replace the core because they clog up. Obviously every time you try and pump up your tyre, effectively the system is thinking there's a puncture there, so it will clog up with the sealant, so you need to replace the core as well whenever you top up your tubeless tyres. I have an MTB. It has a slightly wobbly tyre which aren't great for the road. Is it time to change them after 4 years, and what should I get for the road? They are 27x2. Well, a tyre that I actually think is a great tyre for mainly road use on a mountain bike. It has a little bit of tread on the outside edges, which means if you do go onto gravel and you're moving the bike, you've got a little bit of grip on the turning of the bike, and that is the Schwalbe Hurricane. It has a nice smooth centre to it, which is great for, ideal for road use, and then it has the grips on the outside edge for a little bit more of gravel use. So that's a great tyre for that compromise between off-road and on-road. Most mountain bikes actually are used on pavements and roads, so very few of them actually end up off-road for the routine bikes that come in with me. So yeah, that's a tyre I always recommend. How tight should I be going up on my quick release when my bike is mounted in the direct drive trainer, but worried I could damage the frame, but wasn't it tight enough not to come out in a sprint? Well, if you're using a direct drive trainer, you want to actually check their recommendations for how tight. You have to remember that a quick release skewer is a very fine thread. Don't over tighten it. You don't want it any more than a standard wheel. It should be enough to hold a bike in a sprint. And if it isn't, then maybe it's the wrong bike for your turbo trainer. Maybe find a used bike that is capable of fitting your trainer and doing your winter training without damaging your main bike. Then you can tighten up a little bit more if needed, and you won't damage your main bike that you're using out on the road. So always use a second bike and a trainer. Well, that's it. We've now gone through all the questions that we've received. We're going to now carry on with the restoration that we're filming for the channel. I hope you've enjoyed this little video with a little bit of an insight into what we do here. We've got a few bikes lined up and a few projects lined up for the coming months, so please do stick around. If you haven't subscribed to the channel and you just happened on this video, do subscribe, do leave a comment, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.